Hi there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome back to a new Power Rankings video. And well, this was a interesting week. I wouldn't say there were many upsets, but a lot of interesting games, from blowouts to one that went to overtime and could have became a tie. I thought both teams tried to give away that game, but in the end, someone had to win, I guess. But anyway, let's start with Tier 4, teams 25 to 32, and you'll see a surprise. We have only one winless team now. San Francisco's emotional win, especially for one player in particular, Marquise Goodwin, needed that win after what happened to him. Feel free to watch the podcast it's here, but I'll just search for it on your own time. It's a very interesting read, and well, when I say interesting, I don't mean like a good kind. It's just that's very unfortunate, and well, prayers and support to him and his family going through that tough time. But yeah, the 49ers are finally off the path to calamity, to absolute calamity, and now they're free from that 0-16 possibility. Now it's only left is Cleveland, and Cleveland, I'll give you credit. You actually hung around against the Lions, because the Lions are always gonna Lions, and well, you tried, but you couldn't even finish it. You could have at least made the game much more closer if you got that touchdown at the end of the half, but you tried a quarterback sneak when you're 2 yards away. It's a shame. I'd drop you harder, but there's no other spot, sad to say. You are perfectly in the bottom where you belong. Anyway, another team that might surprise you is the Texans. Some people immediately put them here. I wanted to wait and see. And well, here they are. They're number 29. I would put the 49ers over them, but it's just, to me, it's a matter of wins. And well, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the 49ers, I need to see more consistency. Give me another win, and if the Texans lose, I'll gladly move you up a spot, maybe more, depending on how the rest of the week shapes up. Oh, the Bengals with Vontaze Burfict. Don't gloat when you're losing a game, because when you actually lose, you look like a fool, and I dropped you just a little bit, just one spot. You're right there, just above the Dolphins, but yeah, right below the Buccaneers, finally getting their third win, but also just missing the Tier 3 entryway is the Indianapolis Colts. Well, for one reason, really. They're just starting to get hot, but I'm not sure if they are worthy of getting on that spot. I'll give them credit, though. They did keep it close against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But to be fair, the Steelers like to play down to their opponent's level, so that's why they've only risen 2 spots, even though they shouldn't have, because they lost. But to be honest, it just became a matter of other teams decided to out-tank them, and yeah. Next up, here we go into Tier 3, teams 17 through 24. The Bears were also a team I really wanted to put back in there, but between them and the Colts, I just can't tell who's a little better. Like, for example, I like the Colts offense a little more because Jacoby Brissett is playing better, but I like the Bears' defense, and as you know, to me, defense wins you championships, and I have a bit of a defensive bias, so that's why I went with them. The Bears still here, but their chance at a division crown is it's fading away fast. In fact, I'd say they're eliminated. They're not mathematically out, obviously, but they have no business being in that race. By the way, next team up, the Green Bay Packers, who actually beat the Bears. Some people put them already into the teens, and I'm like, no, stop there. Let's just stop. I know this team's you could say too talented in a sense, but to me, without Aaron Rodgers, you're at best going to go 8-8, and actually, that is where I have them going by the end of the year. But I just want to see them keep this up more. Their offense played better. Their defense, it's okay. It's okay. But it's just, to me, the Bears just dropped it. That's, to me, what it came. It was a bigger loss for the Bears than it was a bigger win for the Packers. Sorry. Anyway, next up. Oh boy. Oh, this one's gotta hurt for the city of LA. I mean, they're happy about one team and then just completely drained with another. The Chargers were having this game, but like I said, I've said before, they are the antithesis to the Detroit Lions, and well, here it is. The Chargers had a lead and they blew it. They tied the game. Here's the thing: Blake Bortles, or actually, I said that wrong. Let me try that again. So Blake Bortles had a meltdown in the fourth quarter, and they could have taken this win, because to me, it looked like it was coming up Jags. It would have been a good statement win on defense, but no. Blake Bortles did what I expected him to do, because let's be real. The Jags defense, as great as it is, it's not going to win them a Super Bowl if Blake Bortles keeps doing that. A good team is going to capitalize on his mistakes. It's just that the Chargers are every much a bit of a derp-off team as the Jags are in terms of quarterback play. If this were a better, like a playoff caliber team, I guarantee you they would have just curb stomped Jacksonville, and it would have been look like a big blowout on according to the box score. But alas, I just don't know. I just don't know how to feel about these Chargers. I was thinking you guys are getting hot on this 3-game winning streak. No, back to the tank where you belong, it seems. Phillip Rivers, I was going to say poor Phillip Rivers, but he made a lot of mistakes of his own. He put his own Blake Bortles impression. And anyway, the last team on my list, because the Ravens were on bye, and the Jets, why did I believe in you two? But anyway, the Bills are in Tier 3, quite frankly, because it's hard to trust them. You were great at home. If this was a little closer of a matchup, like say 44 to 35 or just 30 even, I might have kept them at 6. I would have put them at 16. You're still in the mix, and they still are. I think they're still in the mix for a wild card spot because, to be honest, I think you can get in at 9-7 or hell even 8-8 if you beat the right AFC teams. But I don't trust this team to make a deep playoff run if they're going to keep acting like this. They even though they added Kelvin Benjamin, they weren't existent. Their offense was non-existent, and it wasn't even Drew Brees who carved them up. The run game carved them up. Which, speaking of, there's a new number 2 in town, and I'm sold on them already. But anyway, we'll get to them in a minute. Let's move on to Tier 2, the real team. So most of them, but this one at the bottom, the Raiders, who, oh boy, they're in a do-or-die mode. They only have, I think, enough error for 2 more games because, to be honest, the AFC's not that hard to get in, but when you consider the Titans or the Jaguars are going to take 1 spot and likely the Bills, possibly, you really can't slip up. So right now the Raiders are they've been in a do-or-die situation. We'll see if they can keep this up, but they have little room for error, and this week and then another game in the rematch against the Chiefs is going to be a nightmare because you cannot lose those games and you have to win out virtually. But at the very least, steal one of those games against the Chiefs or the Patriots, and you might be in playoff contention. But other than that, it's still a tall order because you have to beat a bunch of other teams, which easier said than done. I think they still have to play the Eagles too. But yeah, speaking of, let's go to the NFC East. How about them Cowboys without Ezekiel Elliott? Mind you, the suspension didn't come in until Thursday, days after I recorded this. And yeah, the Cowboys look like little kids playing a sport after they got their first touchdown. And oh boy, same thing could be said with Washington. I mean, mind you, for different circumstances, they just could not do anything against a really good, the best defense in the NFC, possibly in all of the NFL this year. They couldn't do anything against them. And well, yeah, that's just not good news for Washington. They're still in the mix, but to be honest, look at these teams. Look at 12 through 14. 5-4, 5-4, 5-4. We have 3 5-4 teams right there, and in Tier 3 we have 2 5-4s, being the Bills and the Packers. But let's be real, the Packers are out of here. But you could go 10-6, and you still might miss the wild card spot. Because let's take a look at these playoff caliber teams I'm going to mention. You got Philly, New Orleans, LA, Minnesota, Carolina, Seattle, and Detroit and Atlanta. A little bit of Atlanta, but I'm wanting to eliminate Dallas from the playoff hunt. I mean, I said they're going to go 9-7. I didn't think it was just because of Zeke. I thought it would just be because their defense would really hold them back. In some ways, some players have stepped up, and at others, other players are not doing what they can do because either they're too young or they're just disappointing. Dallas got whooped by Atlanta. I mean, I'm glad I told Bill, hey, I'm going to change the pick to Atlanta, because I would actually be hurting a bit in the picks if not for that. But, oh well. Detroit, however, I only moved them up just a couple spots, simply because they kept it close against the Browns. It wasn't that the Browns were playing really better than they're supposed to. It's just the Detroit Lions were not stopping the run. They they were not doing good in the first half. In the first half, the Lions did not look pretty. But when it came to the fourth quarter, Matt Stafford once again did his fourth quarter heroic magic, and yeah, that was that. Took out the trash. Good job for you, Detroit, but I can't give you... what do you want, a cookie? I'm not going to give you a medal for that. You beat the Browns. It's the same shit I've been saying. I said when the Texans destroyed the Browns back when we still had Watson. It's like, what do you want me to do? Give you a cookie? No. You beat the Browns. Unless you drop 60 points on them, I don't see any reason to rise you up by like more than 4 spots. Like, go drop 60 on them, humiliate them, and then we'll talk. But that's all there is to it. So Detroit is still in the mix. They could be better than their number or their spot, or they could be worse. They have an easy schedule right now. I mean, it's still going on. The only game that's of note is Chicago, assuming they derp around again. But the real big game is them against Minnesota. But we'll get to that one next week, obviously. Next up, to close up the top 10, or to close up the tier 2, I should say, Seattle. Now, Seattle only rose up 1. I would have put Jacksonville over them, but, I mean, come on, you barely beat the Chargers, and that's because you were derping around too. But Seattle, I wanted to put them actually above the Chiefs, but I couldn't, because they lost Sherman. I officially hate this NFL season. I'm not just saying that because I'm a salty Texans fan, but all the players we've lost, Odell and Aaron Rodgers, and mind you, I don't like them, but I don't want them to be hurt. I don't like that. You lost Watson. We've lost Richard Sherman, J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless. It's a matter of place your bets on who's going to get knocked out for the rest of the year now. Because a lot of players are going down, and now he is the next one to go out, and Sherman's a great man. And then to go out like that, tore his Achilles when it was already a risk. In my opinion, I wouldn't have started him because of that. But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. Either way, Sherman's out for the year, and that drastically hurts Seattle's contention. I think they could still make the playoffs, but with considering how hot the Rams are, they're getting hot again, and now the Seahawks are getting more battered and bruised. It's going to be much more problematic. Now, let's move into Tier 1. Like, the Chiefs, barely in here. It's because they had a bye week. The Panthers didn't move anywhere. The Vikings only dropped because the other team rose high enough to cause that. So it's not like the Vikings did bad. The Steelers, however, I dropped them. Maybe I'm a bit too harsh, even though they won. But look, you played down to the Colts level, and here's a sad stat for you. The Steelers have been 7-14 in the Big Ben era, while when they go on the road to play sub 500 AFC teams. That is sad. They've lost twice as many games as they've won against weak ass teams. That's embarrassing, and I don't think they're counting division rivals, by the way. I think that just means everyone outside of the AFC North. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Remember a few years ago, everyone was talking about how AFC North is the best division in football and always will be. Oh, how the times have changed. Next, let's move on to the Rams. Rams still at number 4, I believe. I haven't moved them. Same with the Patriots, even though they delivered just thrashings on their opponents. The Rams destroyed the Texans, because the Texans, even though they had opportunities to score, couldn't do anything because Tom Savage is Tom Savage. Why did I have hope in this guy? I feel I was as dumb as every other Texans fan to believe in optimism for this guy. But to be fair, we knew nothing of him, so can't be too upset at us, I guess. But you're wondering, why didn't I move them? They should move up. Everyone has the Rams at number 2 in their power rankings, and I would think, yeah, you're right, but to me, they've been playing a lot of scrub teams. Remember, this is the second time they've won at their place all year, aside from their home opener. They haven't won since then. Let that sink in. But anyway, so, number 2, the new number 2, right behind the Philadelphia Eagles, is the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, to me, are complete on offense and defense like the Rams, but the Saints have a very experienced quarterback in Drew Brees. Hell, he didn't even need to throw a touchdown pass to just deliver a 40-burger on the Buffalo Bills. 6 rushing touchdowns. He didn't need to play and do the 5 touchdowns, like so many yards. And, well, yeah, that to me just highlights the greatness of this team. Even when you know Drew Brees is great, I expect none of you to come and argue saying that he's not a good quarterback right now, because you'd be full of shit. But the fact that they didn't even need to use him to throw so many touchdown passes and just let it run in, that's what they've been missing aside on offense, whereas the defense has just needed to get better. Marshawn Lattimore is good. Cam Jordan is pretty good. I like this team. In fact, I kind of like them a little more than Philly, to be honest, just because of experience on the quarterback side. But the sad thing is they don't play each other. But this is the beginning of the all-out war in the NFC for dominance. And on that note, let's move on to the 5 games to note. Okay, this one isn't that big powerhouse matchup, but I still think it's important nonetheless. The Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. This, to me, is a bit of a trap game, because if the Lions derp around like they did against the Browns, they might be out of the playoff hunt already. But Josh, they've only be 5-5. Yeah, that's the thing. I've been saying you might go 10-6, and you won't even get in the wild card spot. And considering how Minnesota is, you cannot keep falling behind them. You need to win all your games and beat them on Thanksgiving. So you can't derp this around. But if the Bears win, well, now Trubisky looks pretty good. He's not going to be a rookie of the year by any means. But if he just gives Chicago fans something to cling on, there's hope. There's a new hope for them until the Green Bay Empire strikes back. Anyway, another game to note for me. Game number 2. This is the one. This to me is the game of the week. LA Rams at Minnesota Vikings. This is why I was unsure to put the Rams at number 2 so soon. Because now they're playing a team the Saints couldn't beat. Mind you, the Saints weren't like this. They hadn't settled in yet. But now we have 2 7-2 matchups. And my God, this game is going to be juicy. It is my game of the week. Possibly game of the year. Because next week we have another one that can contend with this. But we'll see. Rams, Vikings, I've got the Rams getting an upset for this one. But if the Rams are for real, they need to show they can handle anything. This may be a potential NFC divisional matchup or NFC championship matchup. That's why this game's so important. In fact, it's so important I'd make it 2 spots. That's how important it is. But yeah, anyway, game number 3 for you all. This one is a bit of a surprise for some. You know how I like to throw some curveballs. Buffalo Bills and LA Chargers. The Chargers are out of the playoff hunt. You just said so. But this is a game Buffalo should win. But I have to keep adding these caveats. They are not doing so well. Look at who they've lost. They lost to the Jets, and they got massacred by the Saints when they were at home. They didn't keep that one close either. In fact, I don't even think they kept either game close. So now you need to take care of business against this Chargers team who finds ways to lose. It's not that they find ways to win or teams just overpower them. They find ways to lose games because of them, not because the other team's just that good. Buffalo, take care of business. You need to win this to get back in the wild card race. But if not, you might be at risk because, the Titans and the Jags, one of them's taking the other spot. And the other one can go to the Raiders, which, speaking of, my 4th game of the week is going to be Patriots at Raiders. Why? Because this is do or die, like I said, do or die for the Raiders, and the Patriots can just stamp them out and keep having that absolute dominance in the AFC. I have the Patriots winning, but hey, there's always room for upsets here. And the last game is, no, not that NFC East matchup. It would have been if Zeke was there, but there is no Zeke, so fuck that. We're going to Monday Night Football. Atlanta and Seattle. This one's interesting because Seattle's now lost 2 of their best players in the secondary for the year. And now you need to take care of business here, because if you give Atlanta hope, Atlanta could go on a run if starting with this. They're only 5-4. They're not out of the playoff race, but lose another game, you're in trouble. Seattle's case, lose another game, and if assuming the Rams win, like I say, then you're in trouble. You have to be very careful for this game. This one could also be a pretty good matchup. I don't know if it'll be as good as Rams-Vikings, but hey, that one could be an utter dud, and then this one could be the stud of the week. I don't know. But there you go. There are your 5 games to note to recap. Lions, Bears, Rams, Vikings, Bills, Chargers, Patriots, Raiders, and Atlanta, Seattle. Or Falcons, Seahawks. But yeah, that'll do it for this video. Didn't like a spot where your team is on? Feel free to leave a comment in the comments section and tell me that why you agree or disagree on whatever. Just don't be a dick about it. That's all I ask. Let's have the discussion. I welcome it, as long as you are respectful. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. I will see you guys for week 12, Thanksgiving week, and that week's gonna be possibly even better than this one. I'll see you guys then.